Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. Today I want to start out our time together by asking you a question that should be a pretty easy one for you to answer. But what is your favorite movie? And while you're thinking about that, I want to share with you what my favorite movie is. At least one of my favorite movies came out a few years ago. It's a movie called Wonder that is all about a 10-year-old little boy named Augie that is born with a facial deformity, and he's had multiple surgeries to try to fix his face and to make him look more normal. But he still is different than everybody else. And his parents decide to send him to fifth grade in a public school. And you just watch this process as he's terrified, and the parents are terrified of how other people will treat him and respond to him. But it's an incredible movie, so inspirational, such a powerful story of how someone that was overlooked and someone that was mistreated becomes this hero for this school. But one of the great things about the movie is that it has these flashbacks in different characters' lives, so you can see where they came from and what happened in their past. It's the backstory. It's what a lot of great movies use. You see the backstory of what happened in the past that made that person into who they are today. But it also sometimes in a movie, the backstory also shows you how what happened in the past prepared that character for the challenges that they would face later on in life. And that's one of the incredible things about movies is you can see how the backstory and a person's past can prepare them for the future. It's an incredible part of movies. But the reality is, what we're going to talk about today is you have a backstory, you have a past, you have pain and struggles and heartaches and great accomplishments and great memories, but you have backstories in your life right now, but also what you're going through right now will one day be your backstory. It will be something you look back on and you will realize that this made me into the person I am today. But you'll also hopefully see how even the pain and the struggle and the hard times that you had to deal with prepared you for the future to become the kind of person that can overcome obstacles and that you can help other people with their struggles. But I want to look specifically today at a story that we started several weeks ago, the story of Joseph, and how we can look at his story now. We can see the story play out. We can look at the backstory and see how God used those hard times to make him into the kind of person he was, and how he positioned him to do incredible things, even though some of the things he had to deal with were unfair and very hard to deal with. But we're going to look back at the story. You remember Joseph is the second youngest in a family of 12 boys. He's his father's favorite. That causes a lot of problems in the family. And his older brothers don't like him. They don't like the fact that he gets treated differently. And one day his dad sends him off a good distance away to check on his brothers. When they see him coming, they remember all these things that they don't like about him. They remember how his dad treated him better than he treated them. They remember how he had these dreams that said that one day all of his family would bow down to him, even though he was one of the youngest sons. And all of these things just kind of came together to the point they decided, we're going to kill our brother. I mean, that's pretty harsh. I mean, you've probably been pretty mad at somebody before, but hopefully you haven't actually thought about killing them. But they just said, let's kill him. And their plan was to beat him up, kill him, throw him into a cistern or a well, and tell their dad that some animal attacked him and devoured him. But then one of the brothers says, no, we shouldn't kill our brother. Let's just leave him here. He'll die, and we won't technically have killed him. So they decide to do that. Then another brother decides, no, you know what? We could actually make money off of him. We can sell him into slavery. So they decide to do that. And here's Joseph going from the favorite of the family with all the benefits of being his dad's favorite to being a slave in a foreign land in Egypt. And we see that he's still faithful to God. He serves God faithfully. And he's in the house of an official, one of the top guys under the Pharaoh, a guy named Potiphar. And God blesses everything Joseph touches. He's so faithful that God just blesses everything he does. So he's put in control of everything that Potiphar has. And then one day, Potiphar's wife decides, you know what, this is a good looking dude. I would love for him to sleep with me. She propositions him. He says no. And this goes on over and over, day after day. And Joseph keeps saying no, and he does the right thing, and he resists the temptation. But one day she finds herself alone with Joseph, and she tries to force herself on him. And he runs. She grabs his clothes. They come off. He runs out naked. And she accuses him of trying to rape her. And now he's thrown in prison, even though he's done nothing wrong. And in that moment, you can imagine Joseph is like, I'm trying to do the right thing. And here I am in even worse trouble. I mean, I was just getting to a point where things weren't as bad as they used to be. I found favor in Potiphar's eyes, and he was treating me really well. And now I'm falsely accused of doing something when I was trying to do the right thing. And now he's in jail. He's in prison. And the story continues as he is faithful and God still blesses him in prison. There are two guys that are thrown in prison that are a part of the service of the king, the Pharaoh, the cupbearer, and the baker. And they're in prison, and on the same night, the Bible says they both have dreams, and the dreams disturb them, and they're trying to figure out, what does this mean? And eventually they tell Joseph, or Joseph overhears it, and Joseph is like, well, God is the giver of dreams. He can interpret them. So he says, tell me your dreams. So they tell him the dreams. He interprets both dreams. He tells the cupbearer, in 3 days, you're going to be called back to your position. Everything's going to be okay. But he tells the baker, in 3 days, things are not going to end well for you. You're going to end up dead, and that's what's going to happen. He interprets these dreams. But he tells those dreams to those two guys, and they both come true. And what Joseph says is, hey, to the cupbearer, hey, just remember me when you're taken back into the king's presence. Just remember that I helped you and mention me to the king. Well, he doesn't, and 2 years go by, and the cupbearer forgets him until one day the Pharaoh has a dream, and all of a sudden it clicks with Joseph that, hey, I know a guy that can help you out. I know a guy that can interpret dreams. And ends up that Joseph interprets the dreams. He's raised up again. It's an incredible story. But the point is, if you look back at the backstory, if you look at everything that went on in Joseph's life, you have to question, why, God, is all this stuff happening to a guy that's trying to do the right thing? These are unfair things. And I'm sure Joseph wondered, what are you doing, God? Where are you? What did I do wrong? But the whole time, when you watch the story unfold and you look back, when you look back over the years, you realize that God was positioning Joseph for a purpose. That God was using his pain, he was using the unfair circumstances, he was using all the junk in his life to put him in a place where he could do something incredible. And what ends up happening, if you read the entire story in Genesis 40 and 41, you realize that God positions him to save not only his family, a lot of the descendants of his family, the entire nation of Egypt, a lot of people around the surrounding areas. Joseph ends up in a position where he can save people. But I'm telling you, in the moment, he didn't feel like that was happening. In the moment, I'm sure he felt like just like you and I do. You just wonder, how can any good come of this? But what I want to encourage you with, as you look back at the story of Joseph, and as you look at what's going on in your own life, to realize that God can use your problems, he can use your pain that you're going through right now to position you to do something incredible. That if you will allow it, if you'll keep being faithful, if you'll keep trusting in him, God can position you to do incredible things. That God can take what is painful, what is unfair, and what you don't deserve right now, and he can turn it into something incredible. In fact, Romans 8:28 says that we know that in all things God works together for the good of those that love him. That God can take pain and make something beautiful out of it. So I want to encourage you with that. I hope you'll talk about that in small group. And I'm excited about the fact that maybe in the next week or so, we can begin gathering in small groups in person. So I hope you'll be excited about that, and I hope you'll tune in because I'm ready to see you guys face to face. But you guys have a great day.